Bring the ship up to broadcast depth. We're going in.
Welcome to Rule Zero. Got to get my radio announcer's voice so I can annoy Ryan Stone. Welcome to the year-end SUPERSTREAM extravaganza. There we go. Look who I have with me today. My goodness. If you're trying to get in, I got you probably in the back there. Oh, there's a crotchety old man. There's Miguel. And hang on, guys. I see you, Jesse. I see you, Ray. I'll bring you back in just a minute. Okay, who's echoing? Someone's echoing. Who's echoing? Who's echoing? Who is it? You?
It's not me, is it? It's not me.
No?
Not me.
No? All right.
That's 1, 2.
All right, so let's go around the horn. Oh, look, there's Ryan. Ryan decided to join us.
I forgot to hit the button. I'm stupid. Relax.
Welcome. Okay, so let's go around the horn right quick here, just so everybody knows who the cast of characters is today. Thank you guys for showing up. This is our year in review. And gosh, somebody's really mouthing off here. Hang on. Who is this? Is this you? Everybody mute real quick. There we go. Oh, it's you, Paul. I got you. Okay, so welcome to the show. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. Much better. All right, year-end review, Rule Zero. This is the show that we usually do to cover what we did last year, what we're going to do this year, what happened. We're just going to ask some random questions. We got a lot of people. I have people still waiting in the waiting room right now, which is great. I didn't think I'd have such a great turnout. I have first with me, I got Ryan Stone. How you doing?
Dude, it's Christmas is wonderful.
Isn't
Merry
it?
Christmas. New studio. The girl renovated. I get to podcast about being a man. She gets to run all the power tools. It's a perfect relationship.
You rule.
And Dredd is crushing it, by the way.
I got Paul. Oh, yeah, I was just saying, you got your book going. And Paul, how you doing?
Yes, I have a book going too. Man, things are great. Can't complain.
Awesome. I got Jack Napier in the house, all the way imported from where are you in the Netherlands?
The north.
The north.
Mm.
So not Schiedam. So are you above Schiphol?
Oh yeah, way above. That's like the north. I'm in the northeast of Schiedam and Schiphol.
Is it even light out there right now? It's got to be like dark as hell right now.
Oh no, it's dark as hell out here.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Way past my bedtime.
First. There's a first for everything. I've got. Oops, wait a minute. Where'd you go? Nuke. What's up, man? Nuclear call. Say your name. Introduce yourself.
Nuclear Galileo, or just call me Nuke for short. I like Ryan's pronunciation the best. He has like 3 different pronunciations, and I love them all. So. Not much. Just causing havoc on Twitter and educate youth. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Yeah. You're the newest ad, so I just thought everybody went. We occasionally open up the membership of Rule Zero to get some fresh blood in, and you are one of the latest members. Of course. And, where are you streaming from?
I'm in Dallas right now, Dallas, Texas.
Cool. And for the first time, my Red Pill Muse has decided to join us. I have the Maya Allegra with me today. Maya has been on Access Vegas, God knows how many times, and Saucecast. So already, I think that was the last one we did together. And you've been making the rounds. You were just out in Manhattan or just out in New York not too long ago. And I think I know where you're at right now. Are you in Sarasota? You're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm home now.
Okay.
I went to New York before Christmas, kind of celebrate and get in the spirit, and then came back down here for actual Christmas Day to spend it with family.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Good for you. So how's your year been going? What exactly?
It's been the best year so far.
Yeah, introduce yourself. So people know.
So my name's Maya, or Maya Allegra, if you know me from Instagram. I picked up modeling again. I've been modeling since I was very, very young, a baby, and then picked up modeling again in May. took off really well. Really haven't been home since. I've been on Access Vegas, I think more than anybody.
Yeah.
I've been on Access, I think 5 times.
Mm.
And then we did the Saucecast together.
Mhm.
But it's been a really great year. It's been really successful as far as trying to reach my goals.
Excellent. Good to have you. Got some fresh blood and we got some old blood here. What's up, Thor? Thor, I'm going to refer to you as Dr. Thor now because apparently we can use any pronouns we'd like. So therefore you are now officially Dr. Thor.
That'll fit. I mean, it was particularly since I am a below average god amongst men. Just
there you are.
But I have a book too. If you want to acquire a dominant masculine presence and go beyond alpha and beta, check it out. But
excellent introduction too, I hear.
Yeah, it was written by you, right? We gotta repeat that day. That was a good day.
That was fun.
We'll have to do that again.
That was
year-end shows are pretty
year.
fantastic. Sorry.
That was one of the highlights of my year. Actually, was us buying the now infamous Camaro.
Yeah, last year's year-end show, we're batting over 80%. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're doing pretty good so far. The governor, what's up, man? Introduce yourself. Unmute. Well, here, I'll unmute you. There you go. Or unmute yourself.
There. Are we good now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Keyboard shortcut doesn't work. Noted. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'm the governor. I'm on Twitter and YouTube. Got a gaming stream channel going on. Need to jump back into it, but hey, that's what this new year is for. So I'm ready and excited.
Good to have you. And the incomparable old man River of the Manosphere. Are you now a red pill adjacent, Cappy, or are you not?
I am. Wait, where am I now?
Yeah. Are you red pill adjacent?
I get.
Have you decided?
I'm pretty red, but no. After all I've been through, no, I'm pretty much in the thick of it. I'm off Main Street. Yeah. So.
And you just did an interview with Mike Sartain.
Yeah, I did. It's in the can. It'll be published. Like he says, it's gonna be the first one he publishes next year.
Now I know both of you can talk a lot. Who talked the most in that interview?
It was 50-50. Yeah, he's a good interviewer, by the way. He had a lot of follow-up questions. Yeah, no, a lot of people don't pick up on that skill, but to have a interview go 2 hours and not miss a beat, that takes a lot of pre-planning and thought. So he's really good. So.
Yeah. And I have to say, I will admit that Cappy has been my savior for like at least half of this year because I have been sort of bivouacking in his house in Vegas for, I don't even know, 6 months, 8 months now.
I enjoy driving the car around. I have zero car expense. Haven't put any miles on my own car.
All on the Camaro now.
The raceway and real fun. They're real fun.
Miguel, where's Miguel? There's Miguel. There you are. What's up, man? Cheers.
Going on, guys?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. I was going to do a whole bit like because everyone was doing like they have their own book. So I also have my own book, Weapons, right here, World War II, and the Auto Trader. What's up?
That's great.
But, resident crypto guy along with Charlie. And crypto market is booming right now.
Yes,
so
I got to also point out that Miguel is my partner in crime and my partner in business as well. My heterosexual life mate.
Yeah.
Partner, you have to clarify.
Look, Rolo, ever since you got on that most wanted list, we're all in this together.
Oh yeah,
we're all going down.
I was going to say we will. we must all stick together or we'll all hang together, right? Mm. All right, so let's see. Jesse. I have you in the back. Ray, I got you in the back too. I'll put you guys up here in just a minute, just shortly. But what I want to get started with here is just what was your. I'll just go around the horn. You can guys tell me what your highlight of the year was, what you see coming, and what you'd like to do coming up in 2024. Now, before I start going around the horn here, just bear in mind, we are now in an election cycle. And before I even get started, I also have to point out that I think I was pretty much right about the fact that this show last year, I said this. I said that by August of this year, you would not recognize the Manosphere. And I was wrong. It was June, actually. It was actually earlier than August. And I think
you'd be wrong, Rollo.
A lot of things that have been going on. So before you sort of mull this over in your brains, remember, we also have Destiny getting divorced. We also have Steven Crowder getting divorced. What else blew up in our faces Fresh and Fit got demonetized. Pearl got demonetized.
Andrew Tate went to jail.
Andrew Tate is on his, if not, he's on his way to prison. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about as far as a year in review, but you don't necessarily have to talk about that kind of stuff.
Candace
too.
Owens versus Ben Shapiro.
Matt Stedman went to jail.
I kind of want to know what Ryan's favorite meme was that he threw out on Twitter this year too.
The whatever podcast memes. The whatever podcast memes were the best.
Yes, they were. So I'm going to get started here. Let's actually, Nuke, let's go with you first. What was your highlights of this year, and what do you see coming down the pipe?
My highlight, like personally, I mean, I wrote that dating thread and it caught a lot of eyes. So that was good. I realized that a lot of guys aren't putting in the work to improve themselves. So that was very interesting to learn. I thought we were all in this together, but no one really cares as much as I do. So it's very nice to find people that do, and really are you see the difference between people that just talk about this stuff and try to monetize it for fun and like just for clout, and people that actually care. So it's good to meet the guys that actually helped me kind of reach out to other people too. So those guys know who they are. For my prediction for 2024, I would say two things. Basically, for me, the alpha fucks, beta bucks, the chasm between that is going to widen, right? Mm-hmm. As women become more financially independent and care less about the average man's opinion, they're going to kind of that kind of like chasm between alpha and beta is just going to go like, because I go out on dates with girls that are just normal girls with normal jobs, and they still sugar date, or whether it be on purpose or by accident. Guys are still buying women's stuff to normal women. I couldn't imagine very attractive women, And then my second prediction is that the language, like the most powerful tool they have, that gynocentrism has, in my opinion, is language, right? So if you notice over the years, at least these past 2 years, we've gone from boyfriend or girlfriend to partner. Like everyone's saying partner now. And I'm like, when did this happen? And it's because the language is very sneaky. It sinks into the way we think. And there's research that says that the language you use affects the way you think. So language is like what's gonna like really be the most pervasive tool they have, whether it be on purpose or they do it, subconsciously. And I would say that they're going to start pathologizing age gaps between older men and younger women for dating. And we can really see that because the oldest millennial women are now hitting 43, 44. They're getting past that point of no return for fertility, even with science. So they're going to start really looking back at the guys that did everything right and are just kind of like living what they want in their dating life. So those are my predictions. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Yeah, I was going to say is on the partner thing, I was just joking about like Miguel. I can't introduce Miguel or Mike as my partner without going, my business partner, really? No, stop. Yeah, I called out Jedediah Bila back as far as 2022, I think, Miguel, when we were out there. And I was like, don't call your husband your partner, for fuck's sake. You really want to help. So like, just call him your husband instead of my partner. This like, I'm gonna roll my eyes one more time. Let's see, Governor, what do you see coming down the pipe here, my friend?
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Well, first of all, with the partner thing, my favorite way to address that is to say, so you're unhappy with your guy. Got it. I had a girl that would tell me that same exact thing. And yeah, that language, I think Nuke's language point is extremely a good one. I'd also say my prediction for this year, though, is we're probably going to be introduced to a lot more female influencers this year. Pearl was just the beginning. Mm-hmm. I highly believe that we're going to get a lot more of those, even in, say, the age range of like in their 30s, 40s, possibly, shooting out more videos, trying to get more views, trying to get more guys to want to notice them, basically, because We're going to see a lot more single women that are going to have guys drool all over them and basically, here you go, pay attention to me. I'll give you money. I'll give you attention. And then, they're going to find out that these girls don't like them very much. But once they get engaged, as we've seen this year alone. And then another prediction would be a more political one, but we can get into that later. But I believe that we're going to have no choice but to have female vice presidential candidates. And I think for 2024, we're especially going to see an increase of that in future elections as well.
Yep. I feel you. Let's see. Gov, I'm going to boot you for a minute, and I'm going to put in Jess real quick. So let me pull him out. Jess,
I have to go too if you need to.
Okay, Cappy, let me get you in there, Cappy. Then
I got a hike.
You got a hike. Well, we don't want to keep you from your hike, man. We know how important those are to you.
Is that what the gays call it these days, Cappy?
I'm so thankful that I have all my friends in Jack in the internet. Predictions real quick. I guess I think men are going to continue to accelerate going gold as the internet kind of makes it undeniable how much reciprocal interest or lack of reciprocal interest men and women have in each other. So not a bold prediction on my part that things will continue to decline as they will. I also think this relatively recent trend with girls like, oh my God, traditionalism, tee-hee, I want to so be the stay-at-home, that is going to be exposed for the money-making, clickbaiting, attention-grabbing trend that it is. Once it does not result in more traditional type of behavior, or girls losing weight or getting frankly fuckable. And so that I think will be exposed even before June of 2024. Yeah. And then otherwise, what I'm doing, I'm going hiking and I'm enjoying life. All the houses are done. I don't have to do anything anymore. And now I can finally in theory, continue to do this until I'm dead, where I want to work less. I want to do 4 hours a day, and that's it. And then have like a hard stop.
I think what the audience really wants to know is, will you be riding your motorcycle from Las Vegas to Sturgis, actually riding it instead of trailering it?
I've never trailered my motorcycle. I am not Glenn Lawrence. I am more like Paul. Paul rode out to Sturgis, but I will say I've already ridden across the country multiple times in Alaska and Mexico. But I got a motorcycle up there and I got a motorcycle down here, so I just hop on my Spirit Airlines flight and I just go.
Spirit.
Well, it's Allegiant now. Spirit sadly does not fly to Rapid City. Kind of hurts me a little bit, but I still occasionally, if I don't have to, like I got to fly to Minneapolis or something, I'll take Spirit, but. It's Allegiant now, or Sun Country, I forget which one, that goes to Rapid City.
Cool. Cappy, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good luck to all you guys. I'll see you next year.
All right, brother. See you.
Fuck you.
Bye. Hey, I think for the first time we've ever had is the other bald guy with the beard. Got Ray in the house.
Beard actual.
Yes. Ray, introduce yourself right quick.
Ray Gardner. I go by Graybeard Actual on social media. The last year for me is really, I've only been doing this for about 1.5 years. So it's gone from something I did on a whim to just basically watching my content evolve. And the only thing I see coming, and I don't have long predictions like everybody else, but I've been paying attention to what you've been saying, the election cycle and everything else coming along with it. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's not going to be good. You know, with Andrew Tate, fresh and fit, you being on this government list, whatever, I just think that's going to be magnified all the more. So more shadow bans, at least in the future.
Cool. Good to have you, man. Thanks for joining us today. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to put Maya in. Maya, what do you think of all? This is your first experience, I think. I mean, shouldn't say that. I guess you've known about this stuff for a little bit, but you've known me for about 1 year now. You were on a private jet with Robert Kiyosaki, and you were on that show as well. And so you've been sort of, I guess, immersed and like thrown in the deep end of all of this. Just wanted to get your take on it. What do you see coming up? And I mean, it could be anything. You can give your predictions. You can tell what your highlights were for 2023.
So as far as the manosphere studying red pill, all the things like that. All I know is from being on your show. So I can't give too much insight on that like everybody else can. But I know that I had a wonderful time on your show, and meeting you was great. I'm glad that we got to do the Robert Kiyosaki podcast together. As you know, he was somebody I've been listening to for years, and to be able to meet him was fantastic. This year, I was really immersed in everything, pretty much. Very go. I've traveled around 30 times this year, most of which were in Vegas. So I just predict probably more traveling, because May will be a year of me doing this. So to not even be a year in and be gone that much, I'm hoping that this year just brings more of those kinds of opportunities for me.
Yeah. Now, but people are going to ask me like, oh, why are you having Maya on the show?
I saw there were some comments. Is that a woman?
Oh my gosh, there's boobs on the show. Now I want to point out that you were probably the favorite of everyone in the chat when we do Access Vegas. And so first of all, let everybody know how old you are right now.
I'm 21.
Okay. And you'll be 22 in February?
In February, yes.
February, okay. And so the reason why I bring you on is because whenever you're on, you have probably the most intelligent, most sober take of anybody, any of the girls on the show. That's really why you keep coming back. I think you have been on the show, I think, more than Kylie has been on the show. But
I've been on it quite a bit. Yeah.
And that was also one of the reasons why I brought you on for Robert Kiyosaki's show, because you had already, in fact, when I mentioned that, you had said something to the effect that that you had already read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you really wanted to be on that. And I was like, okay, well, she'd definitely be the youngest. And I think I want to say Kaylin Franca was probably the oldest in that panel, because we had a panel of four women on that. And it was actually one of the best shows I think we've ever done on Access Vegas. But you always have a really good take. You're way more conservative than I think a lot of people really realize. And I want to also point out that she flies her own happy ass everywhere that she goes to. So it's like she's I think you quit OnlyFans this year too as well, didn't you?
I did. So the reason why I really had it, and I know that it gets a bad rap and everybody's going to hear that I had one, and they're going to assume that, as people would call it here, a 304. But truthfully, when I started modeling and I started traveling, in order for me to really pursue it as hard as I could, I had to quit my job. I couldn't be home all the time and be gone as well. So with Instagram shadow banning me because I paid for the check mark, and fun fact, they shadow ban you more if you have the check mark. So I got rid of it, stopped being shadow banned, and I really didn't need the OnlyFans anymore, because what I was being shadow banned for, I would post on there. And keep in mind, I got shadow banned for the video of the back of Dead Mouse's head.
Oh, yeah.
When after Access, I wasn't even in the video. So I've never posted anything explicit. I've never gotten down that kind of rabbit hole, and I don't plan to. I think when a lot of people look at my Instagram, or they hear that I've had a fan page, that they assume I'm somewhere that I'm not, that I don't have a certain set of morals or guidelines for myself that I do have. But you have to also understand that the vision that you put out on social media, for everyone across the board, that's typically not who you are at home.
Yeah. So
there's parts of it that are very much so me, and there's parts of it that are just me having fun. And when you only see those highlights, you tend to make different kinds of assumptions of people.
Okay. Before I let you go, you have to give us at least one prediction what you think is going to happen in 2024.
Okay. I think in 2024, I will probably never be home.
Yeah, that's probably true. Okay. Thanks for joining us today. I will probably see you again in Vegas. We'll probably have, I can't imagine we wouldn't.
Yes. So you brought up my birthday, February. So I actually was meaning to reach out to you about that. So I will definitely see you in February.
In Vegas. Cool. Great. We'll have you on. Thanks for coming. Much appreciated.
Okay.
All right.
Bye,
we'll see you.
thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. There you go. We got one girl. People say we don't have women on the show. There we go. And speaking of women, I got Andrew Wilson just decided to show up too. Unmute yourself. The insults sound better when you unmute yourself, Andrew.
I said, well, that hurts my feelings, bro.
You cut me deep, man. You cut me deep.
You got me bad. How's life treating you guys?
Good, man. Good to have you on. Oh, by the way, your favorite person, James Sexton, has told me that he is going to be showing up today too, as well.
Good.
Yeah. So, well, I might as well just go with you. What was your highlight? What was the best thing that happened to Andrew besides the interview that you did on whatever podcast recently?
For me, it was the debate that I did with Matt Dillahunty, where he rage quit in the first 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Now, explain who Matt Dillahunty is. I know who he is, and probably Ryan does, but I don't know if anybody else does.
He's a prominent secular humanist debater, so he argues for the atheist position. We did a big, massive IRL debate, which got a lot of traction, and we were both the headliners for that debate. So we went last, and he rage quit in 8 minutes because it was pointed out that his kind of worldview suffered from cognitive dissonance because he's, married to a trans individual. So there's a whole backstory there, but yeah, I would say that was the highlight of the year. Yeah. Yep. That was probably the highlight of the year, mostly because of the rage that came afterwards. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. So.
Yeah. We still yet have to figure out whether or not Lauren Southern and Destiny actually got after it. But I think we'll find out pretty soon. That was actually going to be one of my predictions. I think we're going to find out the truth about that in 2024.
I mean, maybe. The thing is that I think we already know the truth of it anyway.
I think we did.
I think we already know the truth of it anyway.
Always outs, man. The truth always outs.
But you will see more of these catastrophes happen with these online creators, especially these leftists who are falling apart all over the place as their narratives become challenged across the internet. So it's not going to surprise me to see more and more and more of this kind of stuff coming out for all of these different creators. They can't keep a lid on all the kind of crazy shit that they're up to when nobody's watching,
Yeah. I think, and more recently, I was really kind of racking my brain doing my notes for today's show. Like there's so much shit that happened in 2023, like just even prior to August. And I mean, if you even just look at just the Tate, exposés that have come out since they were arrested about this time last year. Just excluding that, there's still a lot of shit that went down this year. The Crowder divorce, all the blow up with Destiny, the blow up with Lauren Southern. God knows what's gonna. I mean, I'm just waiting for it to percolate just enough so that like the women who hate on Destiny, who have always didn't like him but had to deal with them, now suddenly they're gonna, all the floodgates are gonna open as a result of this.
Is that what you're predicting?
I think so. I think everybody is pretty much dead on when they're predicting, I guess, that we're going to see more females in the tradcon space that are just going to sort of run with the new narrative, which I think is going to be the culture war, which we're already seeing. Like Tim Pool has practically renamed his stream the Culture War. I mean, literally, it's in his titles now. So I'm pretty sure that's where we're going. I'll get to that when I give my predictions, but I think it's time to batten down the hatches just like we did in 2020, because a lot of shit happens in this space, in the manosphere space, and we go through these cycles, and it's usually a 4-year cycle, and it coincides with the election cycles.
Well, let me ask you a question, maybe for the whole panel, something that I'm conflicted on a little bit.
Okay.
So I have noticed that there has been a trend of what you would call the kind of trad grift e-skank, which has come into prominence over the last year. But the thing is that if the goal inside of kind of the red pill community, which I'm not a part of, but I do interact with a lot of red pillars. If kind of the overarching goal is to shame women into more desirable social behavior, then wouldn't that be the preference?
Anybody?
I'm not trying to shame women into doing anything. I don't think you can change women. You can only change yourself, and you need to think globally and act locally. Work on your own relationship, lead your woman, and the rest will fall into place for you. You can't worry about what all these other hoes are doing.
Nuke, what's my favorite quote?
She doesn't know you.
No.
Well,
I thought it was a
Andrew.
big-
So Andrew, I'm a big fan of your stuff, right? And I think probably you're much smarter than I am. But the thing with the red pill is that we don't really care. We care about what works, right? And what we care about improving our own lives. Women have agency now; they do whatever they want. And I know that's not the best scenario all the time, but we don't. It's too much work for us as men to like try to put the genie back in the bottle. That's not to say go out and do whatever you want. I think every man here has decent morals, and we do the best we can. But ultimately, we don't want to change women. We don't want the task of changing women unless they are in our frame and they're willing to build a life with us. That's different. But women
but
on the
you're looking
internet,
you are looking for things to change, like laws to change, marriage laws to change, things like this, right?
no, that's
No.
apart from the red pill. If I personally want to change, let's say I want to run for local office and maybe change abortion laws or something. That's apart from the red pill. That's a personal moral conviction that I have that has nothing to do with the red pill.
I see.
Now,
Well, let me reframe the question then. If you're looking at it from a trad conservative perspective, right? And so we're looking at it from the perspective of we think that shame does work. And shame does work. It works at the political level, it works at the local. I mean, it just works. Shame has always worked. If we were to see kind of this rise of women who are moving towards kind of trying to promote more traditional values and things like this, even if it is a grift on their end, because they think that that's what gets them the most amount of male attention rather than the OnlyFans and the, basically, like I call them online e-skanks, right? If they see the alternative as being more optimal, then isn't that good as far as the culture war goes for our side?
Men's rights activists had 40 years together with women to shame it off the wall, and it failed miserably.
Still is failing.
People are gonna people, and I'm not saying, Andrew, with all due respect, I've seen a bit of your work. You're a great guy. You're a very intelligent man. And there's absolutely no disrespect here, but you can shame certain people into whatever you're like. It doesn't change their past, and past decisions will have repercussions.
That's not what this Bible says.
Sure, but we're looking at like a moving trend, right? So when I look at things, I look from the micro to the macro. So I'm always looking at what is the effect on culture. And it's foolish to believe that you guys don't have an effect on culture, because you do. It might seem minimal, but these things, these kind of small pebbles end up becoming massive avalanches. That's why you have feds and everybody else looking at all of you, right?
No, Andrew, you're right. You're right. And shaming isn't all that effective from our side, but I will tell you what is, and that's fear. And Rollo's done a really good job because he exposes the intrinsic fear that the sexes have, and that's really distasteful. So the impact is, I think, larger than any of us realize on the work we've done on the red pill.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll just chime in here on Andrew's point is, after being listed on God knows how many NGOs now. By the way, it's now Moonshot Divert Hate, and I'm pretty sure I'm on the CC Center. I can't even keep up with all these fucking acronyms. Center for Controlling Digital Hate, or whatever the hell it is.
And why, Rollo?
Well, yeah, exactly. And well, I mean, they're afraid of the influence. And I mean, if you're going to divert my traffic, can you not divert it to Justin Baldini and fucking like Man Enough? Like, he's like, send it someplace like completely ridiculous instead of Man Bun, dude. But yeah, I mean, I had this conversation with, this is something I was going to get into. I had this conversation with Marquette Burton on Saint and Sinner not too long ago. And he was saying, the red pill, you can't help but be in this space and not be an influencer. I will 100% cop to that. I understand. I can't go online without people saying, oh, Rollo's giving advice, Rollo's teaching, Rollo's preaching, they believe this. It's an ideology. It's a movement. I hate that shit. The red pill movement. And I did my damnedest to separate the red pill as a praxiology from the red pill as a quote unquote practice. So when we look at, like, say, what Jack was just saying a minute ago, the men's rights or, MRAs and stuff like that, they were somewhat significant around 2012, 2014. but they kind of died out with Dean Esme and Paul Elam, who's still trying to make a comeback, I guess.
Angry Santa.
Yeah, angry. Charles Manson. Yeah, which he does look like. But I think that those are practices, and those will be movements for sure. MGTOW movement, TradCons movement, White Pill movement, Black Pill Doomers, SpurgCon, whatever you want to call them. That's definitely a movement because it's best practices. And I was trying to make this distinction between best practices and the actual, like, okay, we got this information, we got this data set, what are we going to do with it versus the data set itself? And red pill in its most purest, like, ideal form is really just a praxiology. It's not a movement, it's not a philosophy, it's not a belief set or whatever. But if you are out there and you are putting out, I don't know, 45-second shorts, or you're ripping off my material, so you have like a new TikTok video and they come, that's one of the reasons I did the thumbnail, by the way. Everybody's got a red pill, right? Everybody's, I got a red pill, I got a red pill, I got a red pill. And I see this and I see that if all anybody ever saw was people who were sort of like the promoters or the pitchmen of the red pill, then I can totally understand why people would think it's a movement or it's a belief or it's whatever the fuck it is. But in its purest form, I think pretty much everybody on this panel, like Rule Zero, we've been here since the beginning, really. I mean, we formed this Rule Zero back in May or June of 2019, but even prior to that, on Reddit, on the forums and everything else, and on blogs and all that. That's where the real work was done. Right now, everybody's taking that real work, that data set, that database, and they're just basically applying their own spin to it and their own practice, like what's best practices. So there's a difference between the actual information and what best practices are. And I can't get away from it, clearly, because now the DHS wants to, knock. Here's the DHS. Yeah, that's what they want from me right now. So clearly, you can't go on Instagram or any of these social media platforms without people thinking you are a quote unquote influencer and that you are giving advice. And it's been an effort in futility to try to get people to understand that the red pill is a separate thing from the actual people who are putting it out there. So, Miguel, I wanted to ask you a question though. Miguel,
what's up, big dude?
Speaking of red pill, what is hashtag #rpill, and what is the new red pill coin? Because I just became aware of that this morning.
Yeah, apparently there's a new red pill shitcoin every couple days. So I mean, most of them are just pretty much rug pulls. I haven't seen one be successful so far, but part of them are part of like the Andrew Tate crew, and other ones are just rando. I guess red pill guys are trying to make coins to make a quick cash grab. Mm-hmm. But I'd be really careful. I wouldn't invest in any of these coins right now.
Yeah.
But in terms of like 2022, the thing I'm most proud of is like starting the West Coast hub of the red pill.
Yes.
That's what I'm proud of, man. We worked hard on that. That was a dream. That was a 2022 dream as well.
Yes. Yes. I think that deserves a little explanation because we have done, you and I and Mike Sartain have done quite a bit. I don't think people really appreciate just how much work we put in over the last year to make Red One Studios. Actually, this is the Northern Command Center, and the Southern Command Center is down in Las Vegas.
Right.
We now have a place that's sort of a go-to place for people to do shows, and we have Sticky Paws Studios, of course, where we do Access Vegas. But it's sort of the culmination of really just I want to say it was your idea.
Yeah. What was it? We did it after we did like a mega, what's it called, a money show, right? Down there at Fresh and Fit. And I think right afterwards, right? It was like after we talked to George Gammon, it was like me and you were like, the whole time we were like, man, we need to make our own hub, like, because right now we got the whole East Coast locked up right now with Miami. Fresh and Fit are running it, and I saw that a lot of people from California were moving out, obviously, and I said, one of the power hubs is going to be it's going to be Texas, Florida, and it's going to be Vegas. Right? A little bit of Reno as well in there.
Got to throw Nashville in there too. That's where the Daily Wire's at. So.
But I saw all the migration happening. So I said, you know what? I think this is going to be one of the stronger cities because I don't really see a lot of podcasts coming out of there right now. And then as soon as we move over there, everyone was saying we're fucking crazy, and now everyone's calling us geniuses.
Yeah,
because it's what we saw was like, this is like you can fly everywhere. Flies to Vegas. it's one of the just getting people here. It's incredible, and two, it's another excuse to party, right?
Yeah, that too. I mean, so much goes on in Vegas too, and I know Andrew is also. He has got some relatives up here in Reno and stuff. I'm looking forward to meeting Andrew at some point. But I was going to say when we were talking with Patrick Bet David.
Right.
Back in, let's see, I think it was August or late July, August of 2022. And we sat down and had dinner with them. And basically the deal was, just basically come co-brand with us and we'll own your shit. But we'll give you a staff and kind of thing. And I'm just like, fuck that. I'm a bigger deal in this space than Patrick Bet David is. He's a big deal in his own space. But as far as knowing what content is, didn't know jack shit about it. And we were kind of frustrated, I think, on the car ride back from Fort Lauderdale back to Miami. Yep. And it was Miguel who goes, why don't we fucking do it in Vegas? Why don't we just do this ourselves? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So that was actually the germ of the idea to do everything that we've done really for most of this year. And then, once we got the ball rolling, man, then we got Mike Sartain, then we got the shows coming up, then we got Red One Studios, and we have all these people putting into work. And it was interesting to me because even though like you and I and Mike were really kind of like collaborating, doing all this stuff. And by the way, we have more ideas and more irons in the fire than I think a lot of people are realizing.
We can't talk about it though. We just can't talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just us doing what we've been doing, I think a lot of people saw that and they want to help. They want to be a part of it. Thor's been there. Thor was in Vegas, God knows how many times. Paul was just there not too long ago. It's just, and Glenn and everybody else really kind of said, hey, you know what? Let's get this going. And it was sort of our idea to start something in Las Vegas because it's a hub. It's an international hub and it's on the West Coast, but it's not in California because nobody wants to be in California right now because it's too liberal, wokesy, and it's too expensive. So now we got movie companies coming to Vegas. You got all this stuff else coming to Vegas. I'm like, why not? Let's just own Vegas. And that's what we've been doing really for the last year or so.
And we've kind of started like kind of half of a movie studio already. I think I just got done filming a horror movie with the Savo brothers.
Yeah.
It's going to be, it's going to be pretty big. I mean,
I invited Kevin. He might come in today too. So we'll see.
Yeah. We're going to be at a couple movie premieres and stuff and trying to premiere the movie and stuff. But hopefully we have it out by the middle of next year.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to move Red Hawk in here real quick. Red, because you said you just want to get in and get out. Let's do it. Go for it, my friend.
Yeah, what's up, fellas? Just broadcasting from the deer cabin right now. So I thought I'd come in real quick and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll just say real quick on my own side of things, big business for 2023, I think, has been, guys were already mentioning it about the influx of female creators into the space, and no doubt there will absolutely be more of them, especially moving into the election year here in 2024, which undoubtedly is going to be the year of the trad girl, the trad, e-thought, as everybody else was saying here. So just be on the lookout for that. You'll see a lot of people who were flocking to this space for the content the past couple of years are going to be shifting more into politics stuff. And no doubt they're going to take their aim at, the big bad guys on the internet who are anti-family and are pro-vasectomy or whatever the fuck else they're accusing us of saying these days, destroying the West and everything. So just be on the lookout for all that nonsense as these people move away from our stuff and put us in the crosshairs because, families aren't doing so well here in America and somebody needs a bad guy. So they're going to pick on us for it. So that's all I got to say.
Cool.
If you guys are looking for more, conservative right-wing content, take a look at my own company, the Old Glory Club. We did a pretty damn good job this last year. So take a look at that and Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, fellas. We'll talk more in the new year.
All right, brother. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next.
Be well.
All right. Bye. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put Troy. Troy, are you around? I'll bring Troy back in a minute. There's Troy. Hang on. There you go. Got Troy back in the house now.
Hey guys, how are you?
Troy. Everybody's in the house. Yes.
Happy New Year. Happy Christmas.
Okay. God save the Queen. All right.
Man.
King now.
Lie, mate.
Yeah.
It's a bit late to save the Queen now, unfortunately, but we can save her.
Hey, let me get to Jess here real quick. Jess, say your piece.
What's going on? Yeah. So with me,
introduce yourself real quick. Let them know what a wait. Hold on. This is for you. There you go. Right.
Yeah, big time nerd, gamer, esports, StarCraft 2. That's what I do. The real man's esport, right? Play D&D with Rolo. For me, what I've been doing, man, a lot of traveling recently. That's for sure. stopping at Vegas, saw Charlie Miguel, sold my place, jumping into crypto, you know,
all in,
hitting yeah, all in. I'm excited. You see that EHEX chart, Miguel?
Yes, sir.
It's looking good. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. And simulcasting on YouTube and Twitch now. So I'm one of those OG guys back when Destiny got all popular and stuff from StarCraft. He branched out into the political crap. I didn't. So yeah, that's me, really. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Give us predictions.
Predictions on what?
Predictions?
The red pill?
24. What do you see coming down the road? And what was your highlight? Give us one highlight and one prediction.
Prediction. I would agree with you guys with the whole. I don't delve too deep into it, but I do agree that the red pill space is getting over flooded by these influencers that are, you know, kind of spreading not the right content. Right. I try to redirect a lot of my audience to yourself and this particular tribe. Right. But yeah, you know, I see all these metas like on Twitch with like the topless meta, but not showing it, jumping around, fucking pillow grinding meta and stuff. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, how do these women get all these views? I just don't get it. It drives me insane. You know?
Boobs. That's how.
Boobs. Yeah.
Boobs.
Curtain the stream, Jesse. Come on.
I was just on Ryan's stream recently, and we were talking about that. I'm like, you know what? I should just meme it, just like make it look like I'm topless up to here. You know what I mean? And then just fucking have just in the corner. I just have my little game playing in the corner.
This is what V-Nicks are for.
You know what I mean?
Yes. You know what's funny is I see like I see these Twitch stream girls that like because now they allow artistic nudity on Twitch, which is like
and they actually allow that with the Twitch TLO right now or whatever.
Yeah, or they like the girls don't even like they don't do it digitally. They actually wear like a big black like piece of foam core or something across their tits.
Yeah, but with me, you know, I learned a lot of content with Red Pill. I associate with a lot of Red Pill guys, but I don't really talk too much. I don't create my own kind of podcast, but I'll jump on here and talk a little bit about it. But I'm mostly playing games, trying to redirect nerds to do the right thing. Like I was just at a what did they call it? Ryan was telling me about what you used to do, how you met your wife and how you let her hold the fucking drink as you performed. I was kind of doing that yesterday at a
was my game
arcade, and I was just playing, and some chick just walked up and gave me her number like live on stream, and I'm like, oh shit, that's pretty nice. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, the content in this circle with these individuals, you can learn a lot here. You know, I learned a lot over the years. Like I found I was telling the story. I'm sure you guys know the story. A few of you. I know I told Rolo. I got the Bitcoin Standard. I got your book. I found, you know, Rich Cooper. That's how I found Charlie Miguel. Then I found you, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the guy from the book, you know. And that's just how that circle forms. And you know, lo and behold, here I am playing fucking D&D with you, associating with good people.
Everybody in the chat's gonna go, who plays D&D? Where is this?
Oh yeah.
Just wait Warhammer army.
By the way, Ryan also plays with us too. So it's like Ryan, still myself, Jess. We got Vince. We got a lot of other people that are on. We do it like I do it every other Wednesday, or we usually try to do it at least once a month.
You're damn good DM too.
Thank you. I pride myself in that. But yeah, I actually run that game. But it's Masculine Geek. If you want to subscribe to Masculine Geek, then and you want to participate, or you want to be in the chat, and you want to give me shit and call me a nerd, that's the place to do it. Not on my stream, on their stream. Anyways, okay, Jess, I'm gonna kick you. I got some other people coming in. Thanks for joining us today, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, brother. All right. Who should we let in next? Noble, actually, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, Noble is actually part of the Masculine Geek crew as well. Before that, I'm going to get to Ray. Ray, give us your highlights of the year and give us what you see coming down the pipe. What's your predictions?
Well, the highlights, like I kind of pointed out earlier, was starting about a year and a half ago that this really started on pretty much a whim, had some videos go viral. And I originally saw myself just talking about masculinity in and of itself. I talk a lot about objective masculinity. Had some videos go viral that were just talking about testosterone, endocrine disruptors, all these different things. But as it developed over time, and this is the highlight in general, that I'm talking about dating stuff. I'm not a coach by any means, but a lot of guys are coming to me and they say, hey, I'm going to the gym. My career's fine. I'm working on these other things, but I can't figure out the female thing. And so it's not a dating coach kind of thing, but a lot of guys are getting in with some bad women. I don't know how else to word it. You know, they basically see what's going on. They excuse it and they think, oh, she'll get better. She'll change. No, she won't. And so a lot of my content has basically evolved into something that I really didn't see coming. So as far as plans go, probably just I'm trying to set up a members only community of sorts. I'm looking at the different platforms and, you know, what's going to be best to host that. But that's pretty much the extent of where I'm at right now.
Excellent. So so predictions, what do you think?
Well, like has already been mentioned, this red pill attack on red pill or whatever is going to be magnified. And it makes me think of somebody that would criticize Christianity or Christians in general just because Westboro Baptists exist. And so anybody can call themselves red pill. And I don't wear that on my sleeve so much. When people ask me, I'll own it. I'm red pill because it's just an objective look at human nature as far as I'm concerned. So I think you're going to see a lot more Westboro Baptist type red pill examples being put up in the mainstream.
Yeah, as the norm. Ray, thanks for joining us, man. We'll see you around, man. I will see you on Twitter. We'll talk, my friend.
So we're actually gonna get the God hates bachelor signs.
Yeah. God hates bachelors. For sure. Yes. And now we got Ryan back. Paul, you need to go next. Let's put you up. Go for it, my friend.
Yeah. So highlights for this year were a lot. I did a lot this year. I did an epic motorcycle ride to Sturgis to hang out with Cappy. I went to England, got to have beers with the legendary Troy Francis. I went to Vegas and defended the World Manosphere Championship against Glenn Lawrence, where I also met Rollo. And by the way, guys, Glenn finally edited that, and we're going to stream that live for Beer Club members and for Glenn's YouTube membership tomorrow night. Let's see here. What else? I launched my first course, Practical Law of Attraction, which did very well. Cappy told me last year, you got to have a course. So I said, okay, fine, I'll make a course. So then, and then I started live streams every Wednesday and Friday, which I've been very consistent with because Cappy said, well, you got to do live streams. So just listening to what Cappy tells me to do. And then finally finished my Amazon #1 best-selling book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, which is a handbook for life. So check that out. Next year, I've started working on my new dating course for guys who live out in rural flyover country. I'm calling it No Cold Approach in the Cow Pasture, which should be out in a few weeks. And then my predictions are, I think Daily Wire will finally implode this year. That's what I think. Yeah, finally implode.
Andrew, react.
Well, I mean, I feel like you've kind of put me on the spot. First, let me say hello to my friend Glenn. How you doing, man? It's nice to see you again.
What's up, bro? How you been?
Oh, you know, just living the dream. He's my favorite person on this entire panel. The rest of you aren't worth a shit. Anyway,
You haven't met me yet.
I took that personally.
I mean, you should. So I think when you're kind of diving into this, that there is an inevitable conflict that is going to be coming, of course, from the Christian right and what you guys consider the red pill community. It's already going on. And we don't have necessarily compatible ideologies. I think the descriptive claims for the red pill are really good, but as Rollo's pointed out multiple times, they're not really prescriptive claims, but it seems like both sides are moving into that. Some people on the red pill side are trying to move into prescriptive claims. And so it's inevitable that Christians on the right are going to be tangling up with them.
I actually think, Andrew, I think we're going to see actually like a joint effort between a certain sect of Christians and everybody else. Like, I think the more patriarchal Christians are going to align with the red pill. And I'm already starting to see it with just certain people that I've been watching. that a lot of their stuff they're pointing out stuff that we are talking about or stuff that Rolo has mentioned. And they even said like, you know, they agree with a lot of things. They just can't agree with a lot of things as well. So I've heard a lot more people, lot more guys, these younger pastors in the Reformed churches starting to push this whole biblical patriarchy, which is not egalitarianism and it's not complementarianism, but both fails. So I think we're going to see some like alliances building up here soon.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you'll see that. When I look at this, so I've been kind of keeping an eye on the content in this sphere and then on the trad Christian right sphere. I'm disappointed in my side because they're a bunch of fucking wusses, dude. They never come on and actually defend any of their claims. It's actually frustrating to watch, but they really could. I think, you know, at least have a couple of people who would do that on behalf of this side of the aisle, but they don't seem to want to. They don't seem to want to engage with it because they can't kind of get around the descriptive claims. So I think they're worried about biting some of those bullets. But it seems to me like the trad right is kind of going a little bit more pro-simping, at least at this point. So when you guys are talking about kind of the females who are moving in on the Christian right, who are becoming kind of the more prominent voices over there, that's absolutely happening. You know what I mean? How we combat that on our side and do the internal house cleaning, I don't know, but it's also happening on the what you guys call the red pill side, right? I see all sorts of female red pill content creators, and they seem to be just as welcome with open arms. So it seems like it's a problem both sides are going to have, but I do see conflict as being inevitable between the two ideologies, even if you don't consider red pill to be an ideology, but a praxiology. When I hear you guys talk, you're talking about opening new chapters in different places. Certainly, this is all has an effect on culture. There's no way around that. You're all having an effect on culture. And if you are, there's going to be pushback from other people who are having an effect on culture. So it's going to meet. There's going to be a clash. And I guarantee you 2024, you're going to see a lot more of that clash. I see more prominent conservative women all over social media completely trashing any type of men's rights advocacy. And I kind of want to see the conflict because I think we need a house cleaning on our side, and you guys do too, to be honest with you.
I was just responding to hold that thought, Ryan. I was just responding to Zuby. I think it was last night. He was talking about, I could probably just read it to you. He was saying, so I don't think I've ever said this publicly and directly, but I think the West is absolutely screwed if it loses Christianity. Explaining this in full would require an entire book. And I'm like, well, lucky for you, I published that book in 2021. But I thought about it a lot over the years, and it's reached its conclusion. And so he kind of gets into it. Oddly enough, I think there's certain people, maybe Matt Walsh is a stretch here because everybody wanted to say now he's suddenly asking the right questions. Zuby is sort of leaning a little bit that way as well after like watching I think it was James Sexton's divorce show on Lex Friedman, but it's interesting to say that we're at least asking the right questions at this point and starting to at least beginning to have that discussion. I'm not sure if the platform for that discussion is actually whatever podcast, but at least the discussion is actually starting to begin to happen. Ryan, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just saying with the Christianity red pill thing, our founding members have all branched into big things. If you don't know, Roosh V, one of the most famous founding three guys, joined Christianity, and he's been a great spokesperson for the red pill transfer to it. I mean, it's the best we can do. I'm not even shitting on you. I think people are making red pill out to be more than it is. Yeah, we're creating culture, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of dudes that wanted to get laid and found out that same negotiation can work when you're negotiating a salary. We got into politics. Royce was out there. He's been doing really good work there with his race realism mixed into politics thing. I'm like looking forward to what's coming out the pipe there. But I mean, you see what I mean? Guys are going to be guys, and most guys are absolutely ridiculous. And there's guys here who have done really good work who are otherwise batshit insane, and that's okay because the work is the work, and it's a system. If it replicates, it's good. If it doesn't, it's not good. As far as like an ideological, a worldview thing, everybody here's got their own. Like I know Rollo's fairly Christian. I'm atheist, but at the same time, that atheist dude you were debating, I think you saw me in the chat. I basically called him a fucking retard. Sorry for the R word, Rollo.
It's all right.
So like, I get it. Everybody has as soon as you can point out 3 people in a room, one of them in that room is an idiot that makes the other 2 look bad. I don't think that's ever going to change. And as long as food is being put on the table and women have extra free time, they're going to simp for money and they're going to bitch and moan and complain. So until we get some kind of World War III scenario, which I hope we don't, it's actually kind of better off that we're all here bickering at each other like toddlers, because at least that means the food is coming down the pipeline, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And all of our things, it's all individual. Like we're on rule 0, but nobody owns it. And that's kind of how the red pill works too. Because if this was the Rollo show, let's say Rollo wants to do something that I don't like. I'll get mad at him. He'll get mad at me. We'll start 3 months of drama. I'll leave. He'll leave. Something else will start. Same thing with anybody else. So instead what happens is he does it the way he wants to do it, and then I'll take it and I'll do it the way I want to do it. And we realize, yeah, I don't agree with this on Rollo's thing. He's like, I don't agree with Ryan saying this thing, but we all stick to that. The only thing we have in common is male sexual strategy and positive male identity. We can disagree on the details, but as long as like you're making an attempt in that direction, we kind of just like, you know, whichever one works, that's the one people will go with. And if it's not mine, so be it. And if it is mine, even better.
You don't think that that's a bit naive when you look at the current political
I think it's
landscape?
Cynical and jaded.
Well, for the current political landscape for scapegoating, especially for scapegoating, I see that there's plenty of people who are inside the red pill communities who are
there's no community though. That's the thing. It's like ISIS. Who runs ISIS?
Dude. It's one of the biggest copes I've ever heard when people say there's no communities or you guys aren't doing community organizing. You are doing community organizing.
No, I didn't say there's no communities. I said there is no red-pilled community.
Yeah,
there's no leader.
Okay, well, then there's no leftist community either, even though there's clearly tons of leftist creators who have communities. It's like there's no head to the hierarchy, but that doesn't mean that these are community builders.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I thought you were talking about like a formal hierarchy, not just like an informal collection, a loose connection of ideas. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're going to start attacking it, or not attacking it, but start treating it as if there is some authority and somebody needs to take charge and somebody needs to be in, it's just antithetical to it. Guys, the whole point of teaching your mental point of origin is so a guy looks out for his own best interests and those of the people underneath him who have decided to join him on his journey. That's
it. Homogenous. It's not homogenous in terms of the
Nor should it be. As soon as it's homogenous, then we start believing in the ideology at the expense of the people. And I think Troy's right. That's the difference.
No,
if I find out tomorrow that like the idea of hypergamy makes my life shitty, I'm going to ditch it in a heartbeat. But if this was an ideology... Sorry, Troy.
You could say the same thing about leftists as well. Actually, I mean, I had this conversation with somebody a while back. I mean, not every leftist, believes in the most extreme manifestation of, say, trans rights or that side of things, right? Some leftists just want a bit of a fairer world. They're not bothered about pronouns, etc., etc. So just as the leftist community is not homogenous, neither is the red pill community. You know, like my personal, objectives in my life are probably antithetical to many people on this panel. Like, I don't give a damn about a lot of the stuff that people are banging on about on here, to be completely honest. I don't give a damn about saving the West or any of that nonsense. Because I was one of those people that I think Ryan mentioned before who came into the space primarily in order to get laid. And that hasn't really massively changed much over the years. But then I'm just one individual guy who's sitting in London. I don't speak for the whole thing, and I don't believe anybody else here does either.
Yeah, and guys who want to get laid, listen to you. Guys who want to start a family, don't listen to you. But my point is here, let's take your disagreement thing, Troy. Absolutely. The difference between leftism, whatever the fuck that even means, because I'm Canadian, it's like a regional thing for us, but the difference is
the blue over there?
I'm trying to focus here. I'm working my best. The difference is if you're that leftist that doesn't believe in transgenderism, the other leftists will basically bully into it because you want to be part of the club. The red pill, I think of Roosh as a fucking moron. And I can do that. And nobody's going to try and shame me into not being red pill or get with the program or anything. That's the difference. As soon as you have this, and it was a great thing by Whisper, he talked about this, where he talked about us like computer programmers versus doctors. A doctor can cut off the wrong fucking arm on a guy, and the other doctors will circle the wagons and defend him because doctors are the healers of the sick. They have like a kayfabe to them. Meanwhile, computer programmers are ruthless to each other. And they don't care about reputation. Now, the effect that has is that people think of computer programmers as just fucking nerds, and they think of doctors as wonderful, high-status positions. Red Pill has that one fundamental difference that changes its clubhouse from an ideology in that we're not worried about outside perception, which clearly manifests as us being the worst people in the world. Thank you, DHS. But at the other side of things, if Rollo goes off the reservation and starts acting like a fucking moron, not a single one of us are going to be shamed into not saying that publicly and loudly. And so it kind of forces us all to make sure we are better. But at the same time, you can't, like, there's no long-term clout.
Well, when
like the Pope right now, like, isn't the Pope fucking things up right now for the Catholics? And because he's the Pope, you have to respect the position, and they can't really.
There's a lot of cope with the Pope, but the thing is like, look, politics.
But like, do you understand what I mean, though? Or
I understand what you're saying, but the problem is that the greater political machine doesn't give a shit about whether or not you you think that because this kind of status happens within this particular community, they don't care. So what they're looking for is a way to have basically a clash of these ideals. And that's you're going to see it whether you like it or not, and you will see infighting going on inside of these non-communities, which are obviously communities. You're going to see it happen, and there's a drive, and if you watch the undercurrent, you can see where that drive is headed. The trad kind of e-girl Christian rightists who are beginning to come into prominence are demanding
calendar.
They're demanding that this conflict happen, because that's going to bring in tons and tons and tons of little simp dollars for them. And on the other side, the OnlyFans girls, things like that, they're all going to benefit from that too. So this is all
serenity
being pushed.
Prayer, man. I can't change this. It's going to happen regardless of what I do. So fuck it. It's going to happen. I'll deal with it then.
I was going to say one of the highlights of my year was, and unfortunately, this was one of the highlights of my year, was throwing out a tweet that said the quickest way to being a high value man. And by the way, I was doing this just because it was like sort of tongue in cheek. You have to remember, I was responding to Richard Reeves in that tweet, but everybody took it and blew it out of all proportion, because it's exactly what Andrew's saying. It's exactly the red meat they wanted to take and run. And I didn't like, what the fuck are they? How does this go viral? I think it's like at 7 million like views now or whatever. And that was since like May of this year. And they fixated on the word vasectomy. And now I'm a vasectomologist. I have just got my degree in vasectomology. So just over the course of the 8 months or 9 months that it's been out there. So apparently I'm the world's foremost expert on vasectomies of the red pill.
Can't change it. Can't stop it. They're going to do it anyway. And if it wasn't you, they'd call somebody else the vasectomy guy.
Exactly. And what I was going to say is that if there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. And it used to be Tate. It used to be Kevin Samuels. It used to be like everybody sort of had their sort of moment in the sun. And I think one of the things that's sort of frustrating for people who use the red pill as the anti-red pill as their grift right now is that there is no figurehead. So I'm probably the closest approximation, but I don't want that designation. And so I was just on Satan Center podcast with Marquette Burton about 3 weeks ago. And he was saying, you need to step up. You need to be the leader of the manosphere. You're the one who has the book. You wrote the Bible of the red pill, blah, blah, blah. And like, that's not the point of the red pill. It's like, I don't want to be a messiah. I don't want to be a guru. I'm not here to be a quote unquote influencer because I'm about the data. I'm about the praxiology. I'm about the facts and the figures and connecting dots. And hopefully people can use that information to better their lives, because it's information that they didn't have access to before. Now people say, well, don't you do Access Vegas? Don't you do these other shows? Like, yeah, but that's a different animal from when I'm doing, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern every Sunday on my own show for, 3 and 5 hours at a clip that everybody complains about, but seems to love anyways. But the long and the short of it is I did come away from that interview with Marquette with a new sort of appreciation of the fact that you can't tell people data without giving them an emotional reason for it. You can't give without telling them how to feel about it. And even the smartest people who are very sort of ideologically, sort of set in their convictions or set in their convictions. If you say something as, you can't be sarcastic. God forbid you use allegory, metaphor, sarcasm, hyperbole, anything poetic online doesn't go, because there's sure as shit going to be some spurg who's going to take it absolutely literally. And it's usually the people who can benefit the most from taking it as literally as they possibly can. but I think there's a want for a boogeyman. There's a want for a figurehead or a guru or whatever. I don't even know what to call it, but some sort of leader of the manosphere, a
target.
Presidents of the manosphere.
You can understand the hunger from people who want to take issue with the red pill. That you can understand the frustration of like, well, hang on a minute, there should be some homogeneity here because we want something that we can attack. And then when we keep coming on these streams and saying, well, actually, no, we're all individuals, we all have our own take on this, and it's praxiology, not an ideology, and blah blah blah. I can understand the frustration that people who seek to oppose what they regard as the movement would have in regard to that. But the fact remains, we can't just pretend that there is homogeneity here when there isn't. You understand what I mean? Like, again, as a single guy, my objectives, the things that I want to get out of life, using the information that Rollo and others have, put forward, is going to be different from somebody like Ryan Stone or indeed Rollo himself or anybody else. We can't pretend it's otherwise just to make it more convenient for the TikTok feminists or whatever to come at us.
Yeah, well, you're right, Troy. It's sheep in search of a shepherd. And that's the problem. Jordan Peterson, that was the shepherd. That was Dad 2.0. They drove him to almost kill himself. They turned his daughter into like an Instagram hoe. No, you don't want to be a leader. You want guys to start being their own leaders. And that's the problem. As soon as you put somebody here in charge, now there's a new dad they can follow. You can have a parasitic relationship with. Fuck that. Like, and I'm not saying this, Andrew, to like shit on your thing. I think I'm at like a giver. If you make progress, good for you. I won't stand in your way. And I don't think anybody else would either, other than maybe on details. But it's kind of like, stop trying to swim with a car. It's built for a different purpose,
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's iconoclasm, and this is part of how culture functions. And when we're kind of talking about this in a broad way, and when you guys try to narrow it, you try to remember that kind of the same things that you appeal to, the other side appeals to too. There's no unification amongst conservatives or tradcons either. They're all very cliquish as well. So they all go with their own kind of individual groups, everything from Con Incorporated to kind of the Tradcast to even what you would call the Ortho Bros, this type of thing. They're all in their own units and sections as well. They all might have similar messaging, though. In this case, the same criticisms applied back the other way to the red pill, which is maybe you guys are not in unification with each other and you all have kind of your independent thought processes, but the same is true of the people who will oppose you. It's just that what they do is they say there's enough similar ideology that they'll still lump it all together to attack it. And that's what we've seen time and time again. And I think it's kind of foolish or short-sighted to not be ready for that because it's coming down the pipeline quickly.
We're ready for it now. Like, Matt, do you know Manosphere isn't a thing? It was invented by Mother Jones back in 2012. It was used very sparingly in this, but what they did is they wanted to attribute the MR. Yeah, it is. But it was from the blogosphere. All these guys had blogs and they would connect to other blogs, and that's how you'd follow them, like social media. So this one Mother Jones feminist author hated Roosh, and she wanted to equate him, Tucker Max, Mike Cernovich with the MRA guys, like Paul Elam and that. So they called this whole thing of all the guys on there for all the different reasons, they called it the Manosphere, so they could attack it by its worst actors. And you're saying like it's coming down the pipe. What the fuck do you think Andrew Tate was? He's there calling himself Red Pill, and now Rollo has to go on Dr. Phil, and the first thing they ask is, how do you explain kidnapping women? As if he has to apologize for that. So it's like, it's not like this isn't the fourth or fifth iteration that all of us have already had on it.
And
we've weathered the other ones, and then
coming, though.
but that's, of course, it's going to come again. Somebody's going to be like, whatever with the sex doll, and I have to explain that shit. And I'm just like, no, I'm not my brother's keeper. But that's all you can do.
That's true.
You can just say nobody's in charge. Everybody here is taking from this what they can and get out of it what they can. Very individual, and there is no way to attack me by attacking the reputation of somebody else.
Yeah,
and then like the military, same way. If I screw up, I'm in trouble. If I screw up in uniform, the military's in trouble.
Also to add to that point, something that a lot of people miss, like young men aren't that stupid as we think they are. I know like there's this war for their souls, but like I think we should start trusting young men to like be deductive and kind of, like, hey, here's what we learned. You do with this what you think is best. Because honestly, like when I was a nuclear operator, the average age of kids running the most powerful weapon on Earth, which is an aircraft carrier right now, is 23. And those kids were doing just fine. The aircraft carrier was doing just fine. There's been no accidents for like 2 decades. So I think one of the biggest things we have to talk about now, at least for me, that I talk about is that, hey, young guys are smart. They're just horny. They're just a little like don't know where to go a little sometimes. But I think they're smart enough to read a book and be like, hey, this is bad. Now, obviously, you have guys like Andrew Tate, which kind of captured them for a while, but that was very short lived. You know, like I don't hear anyone talking about Andrew Tate in public. Where last year, like I'd go out with the guys and they'd be like, hey, what color is your Bugatti? And we'd joke around or whatever. But like now, it's just I think we should just start trusting young guys to be like, hey, this is stupid. This is smart. And
but that's because of iconoclasm. So
hold that thought, Andrew. I got to get to Thor here real quick. Go ahead, Thor. Give us what's your breakdown and what's your predictions?
Great. Last year was a really good year. Appreciated being able to work with everybody in person. Of course, my book came out, and that was a culmination of a couple of years of work. And the interesting thing I found is we did this prediction show last year, and we got to be batting 85%. So for 2024, I think there's going to be a couple of vectors of attack here. In particular, I think the neocons will double down on the attack of the red pill. It's too easy. Intersectional dynamics will always be under attack because let's call 2024 the year of the boogeymen, because with the oppressor dynamic, we're an easy target. And you're going to see that play throughout politics. And then probably the more important one, since we're all internet guys, is look to see some social false flags to induce fear in people, in particularly cyber attacks, things like that. Now, why would I say something like this when we all kind of enjoy our freedoms of putting our opinions out there? Well, they've already created a hierarchy with which Rollo is the head. This is an attack vector. And this was done by a neocon organization that hired a liberal organization to do the analysis. On top of that, what do you have but female presidential candidates sponsoring and lobbying for digital ID for you to even access the internet? That's going to ramp up this year too. That's my prediction. And that's probably the most impactful to everybody in this group. That's already on the table and being strongly supported. A digital ID for you to just access the internet. 3/4 of the internet's privately held. It'd be really easy to do because, guys like us, we're insurrectionists and we cause problems. Easy way to fix it. We are actually hackers at our core, and we cause all these social problems because we have access to the internet or inspired somebody to do so. Easy fix to shut us down. We're a bad guy. Everybody gets paid. That's my prediction. And to make it a little bit happier for the LGBTQ people, Merry Christmas and Happy Screw Year. Wow.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you, Thor. Bye. He had to go. I think jump on him real quick. Let me get to some of these super chats real quick. Have to give props for this one. Thank you, Mr. Tomasi. I credit you and many others of Rule Zero for continuing success. Happy New Year for all of you Red Pill guys. Thank you very much. And the reason I wanted to do these is because let's see. I want to send a message to Andrew. The next time you and Brian from whatever see a woman with a dead raccoon, do not take her seriously because she is a troll. Honestly, I think she was a plant, but that's my opinion.
Well, she was, but I didn't take her seriously right from the beginning. I said, this is all bullshit.
That was peak 2023 right there. That was Maury Povich level of spurging out. I want to send another message to Andrew. Shaming, blaming, and explaining to women will never work because they will not only laugh at you, but they will ask which gender pays my bills on OnlyFans. Then I got Rational Trucker. Hey, thanks, man. When is your hardback coming out? It'll probably be out in the first quarter of 2024. How's Ned? Ned's doing good. He just had a bandage change, and it looks like he's healing up. In case you guys didn't know, my poor greyhound broke a leg and actually got attacked and did pretty well in the fight, but ended up getting a broken leg with the Rottweiler. So let's see a cage match between Wilson and Sexton. If James would come in, I'd be happy to. We're going to have James Sexton on Access Vegas in January. So look for that coming out real soon. Oh, and then by the way, just to explain, I haven't been doing anything the month of December for Access Vegas because I've been home, reconditioning my dog. But also Sticky Paws is closed from the 22nd to the 3rd. So we just decided to take a sabbatical for the month of December. We will be back hitting it hard in 2024 in January. First show, January 11th. Second show will be the AVN Awards.
See you later, Petrogard.
Yeah. Learning is a slow process. Let's not forget the red pill exploded on YouTube only 4 years ago. Actually, it's been around for a lot longer than that, but you're right. Popularity wise is a whole lot different. Prediction, unrealized thoughts. OnlyFans girls and other women will unite to become an anti-manosphere. Already seeing people with weird takes on the algorithm. Yeah, probably. There's a, it's funny is I think it was Mike Sartain who said something to this effect, is that we're seeing an Overton window for OnlyFans right now. And it's going to get to the point where conservative politicians, like female politicians, will be funding their campaigns with their OnlyFans money, and it will be okay and it will be acceptable after that. And Noble, I've got to get to you because I haven't put you in at all yet. Go ahead, Noble. Give us your predictions. What was your highlights of 2023?
Well, I'll keep it brief because you guys are all making really excellent points there. Ryan and Andrew, actually, I agree with you both. Neither one of you is wrong. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm an author, professional shit poster, amateur historian, all that good stuff. I'll just say that
D&D player.
Yeah, a mediocre D&D player. The infighting that I'm seeing contrasts with what we see on the left, in that they're very intersectional. They're very good at calling out anybody that doesn't walk lockstep with their ideology, and that is an ideology. You see it with J.K. Rowling gets called a TERF now because she's not feminist enough, because she's not on board with the whole transgender athlete agenda. My point is this, and I'm not saying we need to get to that level of dedication, but I'm planning a trip to Japan this year. And so I'm watching, a bunch of Kurosawa films to get immersed in the culture, as it were, and try to pick up the language. And there's a scene in there where, these villagers in the Seven Samurai are going to hire samurai to help guard them. And this one old man is like freaking out because he's like, well, you can't let these samurai in the village around our daughters. And, he's right. But then another guy walks up to him and says, your head is on the block and you're worried about your whiskers. And I think that's kind of where we're at, is that, the leftist ideology is powerful and it is potent and it is highly weaponized. It has the governments of several large nations behind it. It has media. It has academia. This is not a rival to be trifled with. And so I don't know if it's a prediction, but it's an optimistic hope, is that, we'll realize that, yeah, it's fun to take shots at guys like Andrew Tate and Pat Stedman and Jack Murphy and all those guys. And that's great, in a peacetime setting, but I don't know that we're in that setting right now. And maybe we need to acknowledge that, for as much as we find large aspects of certain people's character disgusting, there are also large aspects where they're aligned. And, maybe we save the bickering for behind closed doors and do a better job of trying to elevate the cultural impact that we can have in a positive light. And I know that sounds very kumbaya and very naive, but that's my hope. So That's all I got. And I'll make room for everybody else, because really good discussion going on here, guys.
Thanks. Can I ask you kind of a quick question there?
Sure.
So it sounded like you were kind of moving a little bit towards something like almost expressing you wanted to see unification in a way.
Not so much unification, because, I do think what is attractive to this sort of mindset is the fact that individualism is encouraged and welcome. It's more of an understanding that there are values to be had in alliances, not necessarily unification. We don't have to get along with, say, Canadians, because most of them are lunatics, but
they're not as bad as Australians, man. They're not as bad as Australians.
But I want a guy like Ryan on my side. You know what I mean? Like if we've got to go to war, then I'm not going to say, well, yeah, but I can't take that guy because he's a grifter for XYZ. Okay, that's fine, and I don't have to I'm not going to let him date my sister, but I can say, okay, this guy is this guy is making some good points. So I'm not gonna help the left tear him down. Is all I'm saying. It's not so much unification. It's pick your targets. We're all getting, and I'm not saying we, but everybody got all worked up about this stupid fucking calendar this last week. And I'm just like, okay, why are we doing this? Like, who cares? Who gives a shit?
The
so
chicks
some girls,
did. Chicks dig it.
Yeah, I know they do. And it's an attention grab, and they love it. But at the same time, it's like it just makes us look like dumbasses. So ignore it. And you can criticize it, privately, within your own little circle. Be like, yeah, this is lame. But at the same time, don't give them that fuel, because then next thing you know, you're on MSNBC, having to talk about a stupid calendar, and it's like, okay, that's not helping us any. Nobody's really making.
So I guess my last follow up to that would be, I mean, if that's what it is, if that's the case, where it kind of sounds like you want to move towards kind of having alliances with these different creators and stuff like that, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about kind of a monolith from which there is to go after. Like, external forces can see that, you know what I'm saying? So it seems like that's wise to do. I'm not saying it's unwise to do it. I'm just saying that I just think it's a bit on the naive side in the political spectrum to kind of say, well, we're all just kind of independent creators doing our own thing. I really just don't think that's true ultimately. I guess that's my point.
I pretty much got the same thing from Marquette Burton on Saint and Sinner too, which is like, you guys, if you have an Instagram, whatever site, if you have an Instagram, you're cultivating an Instagram, like on social media, you're already an influencer by default. If you're a 12-year-old kid and you've got pictures on Instagram, you're basically a brand of you, whether you know it or not. You're just putting puppy pictures on there. The fact is I think that there is a want for, like, the red pill has always been very decentralized, at least in its purest sense. It's always been decentralized. There's been offshoots of it, of course, which is, the MRAs, but those are practices. MRA, MGTOW, black pill, white pill, TradCon, whatever. TradCon wanted to jump in and sort of pick and pull parts of the red pill they liked and then ignore the parts that they didn't. But they're not the only ones, because MRAs did the same thing, MGTOWs did the same thing. And I would probably guess that in the future there's probably going to be other practices or movements that are going to do exactly the same thing as well. I see a lot of this sort of pro-masculinity stuff extending from the manosphere right now. I love him to death. I love him like a brother, but Justin Waller is pivoting really into this old school, open the door for chivalrous masculinity. That's sort of he's trying to redefine, and I see a lot of other content creators trying to do the same thing. Then of course you got the stupid calendar thing that's coming up, and it's fun to talk about and it's fun to goof on, but I think it's still, even that is really a want for some sort of centralization to what the red pill actually is. Because when people I'll see these new trad thoughts talking about a calendar or talking about me, or those red pill guys say this or whatever, and it's this big ambiguous sort of nebulous shibboleth of red pill over here, and they're never specific about it. They never really talk about, unless they want to flash a picture of me or Myron on a TikTok clip or something like that. But I'm seeing this want for a figurehead. There's this want for it to be a movement, because once the red pill becomes a movement, once it becomes an ideology, once it becomes, this is the advice that they're giving. It's really easy to do with like people like Pearl or Tate or whoever else, because they seem like very charismatic people who are willing to be the faces of whatever it is that they're talking about. But essentially what they've been doing for really going on like 8 years now is essentially taking the material of the red pill, commercializing it, turning it into their own brand. And then everybody who has an interest in, supporting their brand that's anti-red pill, they won't go to me, they won't go to Myron, they'll go and point fingers at Pearl and say, this is what the red pill says.
Well, what you're saying is it makes sense. So in this sense especially, so you remember kind of when Antifa was running around all over the place, one of the things that gave them the greatest amount of kind of strength inside their movement was that they started as being very decentralized. And their particular version of leadership in the beginning especially wanted to keep it decentralized, because then the kind of conservative monolith could not go after him. And that was very effective. And I think that that's kind of the same. I'm not making the or comparing you ideologically to Antifa. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking about political strategy. So from a strategic position politically, it's probably the most wise thing that you can do is to kind of have it stay as a hodgepodge, decentralized, this kind of thing. But ultimately, as a message like this grows, it surpasses the original messengers. And so what's going to end up happening no matter what is that monoliths are going to form, and you're going to take the brunt whether you like it or not. And so that's ultimately what I'm after, or what I'm after saying for my prediction is that these monoliths are going to exist, like it or not. And they're going to have to be prepared to defend themselves, because they're going to become, not just by the left, but by the right too. Both sides are going to be coming after it hard.
Well, I like my take home lesson from the Marquette interview was there's definitely, that's what Brian and I call, sheep in search of a shepherd kind of thing. They're really looking for the next, Kevin Samuels. And why don't you step up and do that, Rollo? I've never been the guy who wanted a cult or a movement per se. In fact, I've expressly avoided that really for the last 10 or 12 years.
Oh, come on, Rollo. Here's the cross. Take it. Get to work.
You don't want me as your cult leader. Trust me on that one. You will get some really stupid ass rituals you will have to perform to.
Dude, Swedish death metal on Sunday morning? Let's go.
I'll be making up shit every day. But no, I do understand the want for that, because you can't tell people data without telling them how to feel about it. So if I'm goofing on how the quickest way to become a high value man, and I'm saying this sort of like as an extreme example, so people will get the point that that if you want to sacrifice all of these things to get to this particular point in your life or whatever, what everybody took from that is, oh, Rollo's giving advice. I'm like, no, I'm not giving you fucking advice. This is like me being sarcastic. Anybody who knows me knows I've been married for like 27 years, but that doesn't matter. Take it and run with it. And still to this day, in December 30th right now, still running with that same narrative. And but that, because that's what they want. They want that rush. They want that emotionalism that comes with that. They want to feel as if their convictions are in some way reinforced. And if they can go and talk shit about it, and we're talking big accounts like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Lauren Chen, I'm trying to think who else. Michael Knowles. All these people ran with that, and maybe you could say, well, it was their PR people who are running with it too. Thanks for all of the free traffic, guys. But the thing is people still want to have you tell them how to feel about something, and if you don't tell them how to feel about it, they will hate you for it, and they will try to tear you down for as long as they possibly can. And that, by the way, was one of my predictions for this year, is that you're going to see that amplified that much more. And Andrew, one of the things that I've been doing what I do for somewhat 22 years now. And one thing I see every election cycle from 2016, 2020, and now 2024 is we do these sort of circular, everybody wants to be about the red pill in 2017, and everybody loved it, right? And then 2020 election cycle rolls around, and everybody wants to talk about Antifa, and they want to talk about pulling statues down and C-19 and everything else, and everybody's distracted. Then as soon as 2021 rolls around, that's when Myron and Fresh were right there, Johnny on the spot, and January of 2021, nobody cared about all that shit anymore, and now we're talking about red pill stuff. And all the people who kind of came in and made it their grift, or profited from being a quote unquote red pill person or talking to red pill people, now they're pivoting out of it because it doesn't fit ideologically with the narrative that's coming for the upcoming election cycle. And as soon as that's done, 2025, you're going to see everybody's going to start coming, hey, maybe those guys were right, or let's talk about this that much more. And the reason I can give you proof positive for this, I took Jedediah Bila's show from being about like social issues and politics. She started talking about Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, myself. She's got Destiny on there. She's got Pearl on there. She's got God knows who, Mike Sartain, Justin Waller. Instantly skyrocket. Within 5 months, she's at 100,000 subs. All organic, 100,000 subs, because she changed her format from this social political stuff. Same thing with Adam Sosnick. He's talking about Saucecast and cash and money and all this other stuff. He starts talking about intersectional dynamics. Now look at what Saucecast is. It's a panel show, not unlike Myron and Fresh's theme, Access Vegas, whatever podcast did exactly the same thing. And I'll tell you this right now, that the people who were all about politics and all about social issues now pivot out of it so that they can come back to those issues during the quote unquote culture war year. And then they will come right back in probably 2025, maybe spring of 2025, because that's the way the cycle goes, because they're not about what the information is about. They're not about the red pill. They're not about really even about like intersexual dynamics or even the shows that they're talking about. They just want to get on whatever is going to be popular and get click-through rate.
Personal enrichment. Andrew, I do want to say, though, you are right about the defend yourself thing. I think thinking about it, I'm like, actually, he does have a point. So there's a reason that Rollo and I post greyhounds, and Nuke, was it a Chiba? What's your dog?
Shiba Inu, yeah. Shiba
Inu. Do you know, and like when I went on with Erudite on that podcast, I'm not just yelling at her for being a stupid whammon. I'm sitting there being nice and cordial, and everybody was actually mad at me for not yelling at her. The reason we do that,
the reason
we act like normal, charming human people when we're on these like yell at whammon podcasts.
That's nasty.
It's because it's harder. It's harder to attack these evil red pill guys. It's like, look at the guy with his dog with his tongue hanging out, or Rollo's saving his dog from a Doberman. It's like a humanizing thing.
Rottweiler, but who's counting?
So, yeah, Rottweiler. Sorry, Heavy Sammy did fuck that dog up, which was nice. So a lot of this too is really what you're talking about is almost brand management. Like it's very easy to shit on Tate. I mean, the human trafficking thing that he was admitting to. You think mainstream America gives a shit about that once he says he's kidnapping women? No. And that's why we don't kidnap women.
Yeah.
Do you think it's cool that Myron, like I don't know if he's devout Muslim. I know he's second generation. He is Islam family, right?
He calls himself a bad Muslim. He's a Muslim to have sex.
So like Andrew Tate. But you know what I mean? Like sitting on there yelling at whammon, kicking him off the podcast and that, it doesn't send a very good image. And yes, he's very popular because everybody loves to hate women because it reminds me of my ex-girlfriend that turned me down. But really, what can you do? If the government decides they don't want you on YouTube, you're gone. There's just no way to fight that. There's no persuasive argument you can have. I just watched the Canadian convoy get beat down by stormtroopers in Canada. Now, granted, they embarrassed the country amazingly, and I think it's awesome. But that's all you can really do on a personal level. Don't put somebody in charge, because now my reputation is relying on, let's say, whoever is in charge of the red pill movement. I don't trust anybody enough to do that. For me, fuck that. No. Nobody's in charge.
Well, I understand. Yeah,
but that's what I mean. You're talking about defending yourself, the things are coming. And I'm like, these are the practical things that we have done that shield you as best you can from risk without unnecessarily getting rid of like your mental point of origin, right? Like I'm not against anything you want to do. I like your idea. I want to build a better world. I want them all to do it. And I'm like, go for it. I will help you if I can. And if I think you go too far, I'll say as much there. And if some transgender psycho wants to rag on you, I will meme the shit out of them. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
I guess my ultimate
point
point isn't to fight with this point. For like the politics of personal self-defense. Rather, I guess I'm looking at a broad overview. So, for instance, Rollo says, every election cycle I see this within this kind of red pill community. Where they move in and out of kind of the political content, but every community does that. All the politics communities do that. You'll see them move from drama streams to political streams. Basically, every single online community that I'm aware of that I interact with, except me because I'm a political analyst. That's what I primarily do.
I will never be red pill. I will never be red pill adjacent. I'm not escaping it. There's no way I'm doing anything else other than what I'm
not going to rant about the goddamn Democrats.
That's my job, right?
That's your job.
The thing, tell you guys on that one.
but they all do that. They all kind of move in. They all kind of move out.
Oh yeah, during an election year, you got to. That's
but this year is going to be particularly bad, and the reason that it is because Trump. It looks like he's not going to be able to run. Due to the fact that he's getting thrown off of all these different state ballots. The Democrats are going to, you have to understand that the entire left has a victim mentality, and what they need then is to be victimized by somebody. And if they've won everything, then they make victims up or victimizers up. In this particular case, the people who are being mean to their nice OnlyFans girls, those are going to be the ones that they go after the hardest as the new victimizer. So all of you are going to be, regardless of if you do that or not, doesn't matter, that you're going to be inside of the target for this. And that is coming down the pipeline. You're going to see that this next year is going to be particularly bad. So
when you mean attack, you mean like people talking shit about us on the internet, basically?
No, I'm talking about people trying to dox you, harass your families, and do horrible things to you
Oh, dude.
because their liberal progressive overlords have decided that you're a threat to our democracy and you're a threat to our way of life. And that is exactly the kind of rhetoric that's going to ramp up. And when I tell you that it's going to get bad for a lot of the content creators on the red pill side, I'm not kidding. When I've seen the kind of attacks they do, they've swatted me multiple times. I know that this is going to move over to that side of the aisle. It's just the way it's going to be.
Do you know who Anthony Johnson
as a
is?
dialogue continues between Christians and Christian right wingers and red pillars, you'll see that dynamic increase drastically.
We already are.
Do you know who Anthony Johnson is?
Yeah.
Because he's been doing that to us for about 5 years now. He's doxed Rollo multiple times. Just look up the hit pieces on him. Like this, you're saying this like we're not already there. We've been through there. It's like the third cycle.
I think Andrew is absolutely correct. I think everyone's tarred with the same brush. So I made the point before and said, this isn't homogenous. We've all got our different objectives and blah, blah, blah. However, what Andrew says is absolutely right. Because in the end, whoever's opposing us or whatever us is, they don't give a damn about that. They're just going to attack, and they're going to attack based on, the commonalities rather than the nuances and the differences. So I do think that's absolutely correct. However, I would still say that it's, the reality is that it is a very diverse group of people with actually diverse opinions and diverse views and diverse objectives, really. But maybe that's the case, as you said, with all political movements. I mean, that's
let me chime in here because we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, but I wanted to lay on what my highlights were, and Glenn, I see you. I'll get to you in a minute. Just sort of to highlight what Andrew was saying. That was actually one of my predictions, is that it's going to get worse because you're already looking at this. I knew the culture war narrative was going to be popular. I didn't know it was going to be so popular that Tim Pool is going to rename his stream the Culture War. But there you have it. And I think what's interesting is you see people who are supposed to be like variety shows, like Tim Pool, for example, who will dip his toes into red pill topics occasionally. He's had Myron and Fresh on there. And so, whatever seems to be the zeitgeist of the time, or whatever seems like popular and is going to get eyes on the screen, he's going to go for it. I get that part. The part that I think we need to be wary of going forward is, and this is my prediction for 2024, is exactly what Andrew's saying. Because once I started seeing that the DHS and all these NGOs were involved in sort of redirecting traffic from my site to Man Enough or the Good Man Project or God knows whatever else, I see that the setup is this. I call it what's called tilling the fields. Okay. And what they're doing right now is they're tilling the fields to have a boogeyman. First of all, because if there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. So it's never Rollo. It's never Myron. They might show our faces, but it's always those red pill guys. And I think one of the reasons why they're tilling those fields is because if, for example, Trump doesn't get on the ballot, Trump can't run for whatever reason, or if their guy loses in November, they go, well, it was because of those red pill fuckers, right? It was because of those guys. And if they'd have been on board, and if they weren't such degenerates, then this would never have happened. And guess what? Now we got 4 more years of degeneracy with Biden or whoever, Newsom or whoever they get in there. But they need somebody that's already pre-established as the bad guy, so that if and when they lose, or if and when it doesn't go their way, they've got a convenient scapegoat to go and throw rocks at. And right now, there's no one easier to throw rocks at than the red pill and incels. And incels is now this catch term. It's an insult, but what they're saying is you're a loser. You're a big, capital L loser. You are a perma-virgin. You are a nerd. You're a dork. You're a dweeb. No one want to fuck you, whatever it is. And you think of the worst of the dregs of society are quote unquote incels now. And we're going to do research, and we're going to do studies on them, and funded by the DHS and these NGOs as well. So then you've got bigger accounts such as, say, Chris Williamson, and you've got these guys like Will Costello, and you've got these guys like all his cohorts. You got Date Psych and Alex and all these guys throwing these armchair Twitter research studies as gospel truth and fucking settled science, so they can reinforce that narrative. So they can say, it's the incels' fault. It's because incels won't step up. It's because incels. It's like, what the fuck is an incel? Who goes and like, what is the demographic? What is the population density in the United States of guys who go and they look in the mirror every morning and go, you know, I'm a loser, I'm an incel, right? It's easier to call them incels than it is to call them the loser. You guys are losers. And we can study it. We can feel like feel good about actually putting these studies together and saying, okay, here's the reason why and all this other shit. And it's bullshit. And those studies get fronted by big name accounts like Tim Pool, like Chris Williamson, like Forbes for fuck's sake. And they keep going and going with this narrative, all to till the fields, all to have a pre-established narrative. So if shit hits the fan or things doesn't go their way, that they've got a convenient enemy to say it was those guys' faults. It was because they weren't on board. It was because they can't stop being losers. It's because they're jerking off to girls on OnlyFans. And that, I could say, is probably going to be my prediction for this coming up year. Is that if you think 2020 was bad, wait till you see 2024. Some shenanigans, some kind of bullshit is going to come up probably by February or March that you never saw coming, that they've had it's been in the wings and they've had it like warming up in the bullpen, and God knows what it's going to be. But this will be a year of civil unrest. This will be those red pill guys, and they're going to carry this on probably right up until like Tuesday, Super Tuesday in November, and then it's going to go quiet. And then it's going to be we never knew ye. It's all over. It's all over but the shouting right now.
It's not like we're real people anyway. We're just pro wrestlers. We're like cartoon characters at this point.
All kayfabe and yeah. And by the way, the highlight of my year was probably the tweet. I can't deny the tweet, right? That's probably going to stick with me for quite some time. But we've done so much fucking good work too. I hate that has to be sort of like the thing that everybody's going to remember for 2023, if they remember anything at all, because 4 months later, everybody's forgotten. The internet never forgets, but people have very short attention spans. It's like, generation ADHD. So I'm not too worried about it. And it's just like Mike Sartain says, nobody cares. Nobody cares that OJ Simpson is partying with blonde girls at Jing in Vegas right now. Nobody cares about that. So after a while, all the shit that's going on with Destiny, no one will care. And Destiny knows no one will care after a while. And he'll move on and he'll retcon his life or whatever. And people are going to do that no matter what. So Glenn, let me get to you real quick. What are your predictions and what was your highlights for the year before we get out of here?
So my highlights, man, I got to work with a lot of guys on Rule Zero. Got to work with you. We did a lot of work in Vegas. Got to be part of building Red One now. Got to beat up Paul Bauer. Let's see. Got to meet Troy. That was awesome. Debated Ruslan twice. So I mean, did some pretty cool stuff this year. But my prediction is like, and although you guys may disagree though, but I do see, like I said, I've been watching this trend in the evangelical circle, and there's a split. There's a pretty big divide between the egalitarians and the complementarians, and the complementarians are leaning more towards like this patriarchal side, which seems to fall more in line with the red pill. You got pastors like Joel Webbin, and who's been very vocal against like what's going on now in the church and how the church is more aligning with modern day society and the woke side of things. So we're seeing already a push from the egalitarian side to really start like labeling those complementarians as red pill. So like although they may not have any affiliation with the red pill, but I think the egalitarians are going to be pushing these guys into the red pill just by labeling them that way. They're using it as like a shaming tactic by calling them, you're just a red pill guy, like you're one of those you're just part of the red pill, like even though they have no affiliation with it. So I see that alignment happening. So although, we're going to be getting hit by a lot of, trad cons and a lot of conservatives, but I think there's going to be a percentage of that conservative group that's actually going to be in defense of us. We're going to end up being in alignment, like my enemy or your enemy is my ally type of thing for a time being.
Also, we forget like the number one kind of like spreader of the red pill, right, is people in real life, right? Like maybe guys I have friends that see me and they see me pick up a hot chick or I have a great relationship with my wife or my girlfriend and whatever. And they're going to be like, hey man, how do you do it? And I think we also tend to think when we're online so much and we think that everything happening online is real life, but if you really think about it, like I saw a picture of where somebody had a Rollo's book, Rational Male, and put it in one of those community book things, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to change anyone's life, but you know, the work is done in real life. You know, like they'll attack us. They'll probably take away our accounts and stuff like that. But the red pill is in the speaking and in the interacting in real life with other people. You know, forums can only do so much, but when you go out there and you know you talk to people and you set the example of a guy that's his own mental point of origin, people are going to ask questions. People are like, hey, you know, Biden's president again. I voted and did all these things for women, and they still don't want to have sex with me. What are you doing that I'm not doing? And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, this is what I did, and this is why my wife or my girlfriend loves me, or this is why I can sleep with her or whatever. And then usually guys, you know, even though we're atomized in society, the red pill is really pervasive, and it will outlast any of us for sure. So there's really nothing much to worry about unless your ego invested in your own brand. You should be worried, but for the most part, as long as I see guys not try to hurt themselves or end their lives, which I've had to cancel guys out of that in the military, then that's all we care about in the end of the day. Money's money. You can make money doing anything. So,
and at the end of the day, no ideology is going to keep a guy from getting laid. Like if he's struggling getting laid, and he's not getting any help from the church, he's going to come over to the red pill and just to get his needs met. Like, I mean, it's nobody's ideology is that strong, unfortunately.
Troy, give me your predictions before we get out of here.
Predictions for next year. I just see this polarization between the trad-cons and what we're saying is just getting starker and starker. You know, the likes of Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and Knowles and all of these dudes. And I just see that getting more and more intense as we get into the election cycle. I also think that dating for the ordinary guy is just getting harder and harder, and I don't see that reversing. I was interested, actually, somebody else earlier was saying that he gets guys coming to him who are going to the gym. They're going to the gym. They are leveling up. They're in all areas of their life, and they're still not getting laid. Okay. And that's the big problem, right? And that's what, as a dating coach, we address all the time, because you can do all of the things that you're meant to do, but you need to understand intersexual dynamics as well. You need to have a basic. Otherwise, you're just going to get lost on the battlefield out there. It's very, very tough, and it's only getting tougher.
Cool. Kevin, I got to give you the last word. Give me your predictions. Go.
The predictions for what is going to happen in 2024 red pill related.
Yeah.
Pretty much just about what you said, because we're coming in close to like the most profound election of our lifetime, and the entire world is going to go haywire. So I think things are going to go about the way you thought they were going to go. And as far as the YouTube channels, the sea of YouTube channels that we're all associated with that are all red pill, people are going to keep going more and more outside the box and saying more and more outlandish shit, prioritizing money off of shock value over the kind of messages that you started with.
Cool. All right, guys. Sorry you had to come in at the very end here, Kev, but
no, my bad. I'm sorry.
All right. Happy
New
Year.
Year. Just wanted to say hi. Yeah, Happy New Year. I really just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, you got it. All right, guys, we're going to end right now. Andrew, Ryan, everybody who's participated today, thanks for coming in for this. We always do these shows where we have like people kind of cycle through at the very end of the year. Keep your head down, keep your powder dry, I guess, and we'll see you guys in 2024. Oh, by the way, my show tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be my New Year's Eve show on Sunday, so check that out, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.